Oh, yes, I do. What happened was, as Ms. Williams stated, she was a tenant with an option to buy. She was literally paying an extra 25% each month toward the court.
Testing.
It went into foreclosure without her knowledge.
Can I ask you?
They're trying to do an interview.
Okay.
It went into foreclosure without her knowledge. She appeared at the eviction action, and after some litigation, it was represented that she would be able to purchase the home. Unfortunately, that was reneged upon, but I am happy to say that since this coalition has been mobilizing, City Mortgage has actually called us and been in negotiations and have assured us in good faith that they will be working with us to allow her to remain in this home. So this is very significant because we've actually been in litigation with this matter for almost 2 years. But it wasn't until the people mobilized that we've gotten close to a final resolution, so we're pleased.
That's outstanding. Thank you very much.
And also with the People Before Banks Coalition, which has been fighting, a coalition of groups that have been fighting these foreclosures. Well, you know, I'll just say a couple words to open it up. This is a national day of action to stop foreclosures. It's an Occupy Our Homes. It's exciting to report that there are demonstrations, occupations, rallies at people's homes going on all over the country. I know every minute I get an email from a different city where people are addressing this foreclosure crisis on a national level. Our organization, Moratorium Now, we've been involved in direct action to challenge foreclosures over the past few years, but combined with the direct action, we've been raising a political campaign to demand that the government at both the federal and state level put a moratorium, a halt on all foreclosures. In the 1930s, as a direct product of actions like this, a direct product of people standing up and defending people's homes, the government states, 25 states, were forced to pass laws that made it illegal to foreclose on homes during the Depression. In Michigan, we had a law that for 5 years declared a moratorium, a halt on all foreclosures in Michigan, meaning that if you were facing a foreclosure, you went to court, you got an automatic stay on the foreclosure, and a judge was empowered to give you a payment based on your ability to pay. This is what we need to fight for, and let's be clear, that the legislation in the 30s wasn't a product of above, it was a product of the fight from below, just like we're doing today, of people standing up and implementing the moratorium through direct action in the streets. In the 30s, there were unemployed councils that would move people back into their homes when the bailiffs and sheriffs evicted them. That's what we need to get back to today, and it's that kind of direct action that will win the national moratorium that we need so well.
That's right.
If anything, the time for a national moratorium has never been more imperative. 1 second, please. More imperative than right now. We live in an era where our government controls 75% of all mortgage loans through Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and HUD. What does that mean? It means when a bank forecloses on your home, the government through Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac pays that bank the full value of the inflated mortgage that's usually based on a racist, predatory loan. They pay the bank the full value, the government takes over your home, and then it's the government through Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac that carries out the eviction. That's an outrageous policy. It means that with every single foreclosure, the banks are being bailed out with our tax dollars. And what does that mean? If your home, you had a loan for $150,000, you got bailed out, you get foreclosed on, the banks get paid the full value of that loan by Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae, toss you out of your home, put it on the market in Detroit, sell it for about $20,000, and we pay for the $130,000 difference. It's a silent bailout that goes on with every foreclosure. And that's why we say the president has the absolute authority through an executive order to put a moratorium, a halt to stop these foreclosures that are destroying our communities. So we're excited to see this movement growing. We believe that as we take more direct action, as we stop more foreclosures, as we stop more for evictions, We're going to win this moratorium. The banks are scared of us, and you're going to hear how scared they are when we report on what just happened today. But we can win the moratorium. We can stop the foreclosures. They're afraid of the Occupy movement. They see the strength of the people rising up. We're going to win this battle. We're going to put a halt to foreclosures, and we're going to say housing is a right for every single human being. We're going to begin this rally by introducing Vanessa Fluker. Vanessa Fluker is a tireless people's lawyer. She's a lawyer for Kyra Williams, and she's going to report along with Ms. Williams on the developments that just happened today in response to this demonstration.
All right.
Hello, how's everybody doing? Foremost, I want to thank everybody for being out to support, not just of Ms. Williams, but in support of everyone who potentially could be in the same predicament. It is unconscionable. I'm not going to repeat what Jerry said, but believe me, it is unconscionable what is going on in so many of these foreclosures and evictions. And we have to stand up and take a stand. I say this quite often, but obviously not enough. It takes the people coming collectively together. I can go to court and fight every day. This is a prime example of it. We have been in the legal system for 2 years now. Matter of fact, next week will almost be 2 years to the date. But it wasn't until people came together collectively that put the pressure on City Mortgage to today say, guess what? We're going to act in good faith and work with Ms. Williams to be able to retain this home. And that is because of the people. It's not because of litigation. It's because of the people. Therefore, we have to realize, if we get out here in numbers, if we stand up and say, we are not going to tolerate the injustices that are going on, how the banks get trillions of dollars on the same fraudulent loans that borrowers are getting thrown out on the street. That is just ridiculous. How can it be fraud for the banks, fraud for the investors, fraud for everybody on the face of the earth except for the borrower who summarily gets thrown out in the street with no recourse? We have to stop this. The people have to stop it. That's why I say it's important to work together collectively and bail out the people, not the banks. Bail out the people, not the banks. Bail out the people, not the banks. Bail out the people, not the banks.
Just to fill in, Vanessa didn't tell us maybe the whole story. Last night, she got a call at 6:30 at night last night. A call from the attorneys who are representing the mortgage company in this case. And they told Vanessa, we heard that Occupy Detroit was going to be storming the courtroom tomorrow. and they said, what are we going to do? And right away they sent over the paperwork. They sent it over this morning. They put it on record to agree to allow Miss Williams to stay in her home. Now that don't mean we don't trust. They agreed before to let Miss Williams stay in her home. So that we got to be vigilant when the struggle isn't over till it's over. We all know that. And we're going to be ready to keep fighting to defend this home and many more. And we'll have a report on a struggle going on in Southgate today too. But just so you know, it shows the power of the struggle. You know, the banks act like they're all powerful, but they are afraid of us. And they should be afraid of us, because they are not even a 1%, they're the 1/100th of 1/10 of 1%, and we are the 99.99%. Yeah. And they're afraid of us, and this is a prime example. We'd like now to introduce Ms. Williams, who can say a few words about the struggle that she has been going through with City Mortgage.
Thank you, everybody. I just want to say thank you so much for showing to me that we can stick together. There are people that are out here that are willing to fight, that care about what is happening in our city, what is happening in our nation. And I'm just so grateful I'm just claiming victory right now. That's right. And I'm just really excited because this is a cause that is needed, and I want to let other people know that if they are afraid, they can come forward. They don't have to take it. They can fight too. Yeah.
You know, just to add a couple words, because I know Vanessa and Kyra have been so involved, but this is a struggle where for the last 2 years, Ms. Williams, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, was negotiating. She was renting this home from a landlord with a rental option to buy, paying it every month, Suddenly the landlord got foreclosed. She's facing eviction. She was arranged for her community to help her try to purchase this building to stay in. They fought it in court for the past 2 years. They cut a deal with City Mortgage where they actually agreed to sell the home to Miss Williams with the support of her church and community who was going to help her get this home. And a month ago, after agreeing to this, City Mortgage reneged on the deal and tell her, no, we'd rather toss you out in the street than allow this young woman and this family to stay in this home. And it was only today, as a result of this rally, and the result of the leafleting that was done and the organizing that was done, that City Mortgage backed down. As Vanessa said, there's thousands and thousands of Kyra Williams all over this state, and we got to fight for every one of them. And we'd like now to introduce a couple from Southgate, Michigan, that's in the middle with a fight. Well, a fight of all people, a fight against Fannie Mae, against the government to save their home. They had a press conference this morning. I think there's action to be coming up, and we'd like to introduce them to say a few words about their situation.
Well, Miss Williams, we're so happy that it happened to you. We're so happy that you're in your home. We're so happy that, but we're facing eviction too. We've got 10 days. And then Fannie Mae said they were so gracious they'd give us another 10 days. And then they told us that since Wayne County doesn't do any foreclosures, we've got till January 2nd. So I just want to thank you all. We need to really pray about this. We need to really go forward, and we need to really all stay together, because this is what works. And if it don't bring anything but helping people out like you, that's fine. Because if we lose our home, we lose our home. We're okay with that. But if this helps somebody else with children, there are many people who have kids that are out in the street. That's not fair. That's not right. These banks are double dipping. Where'd they get the right to do that? So occupy ourhomes.org and are going to help me. And Occupy Detroit, they said they would come down. A lot of people did. And we're thankful. And we'd like to thank you all. This works. Yeah. This really works. People stand together. People stand together. That's what works. That's the only thing in this country that they listen to is rallies like this. So thank you. I'll let my husband say something.
You said it all.
I said it all, he said. So thank you.
Where are we going to be on January 2nd?
Right here.
Where are we going to be on January 2nd? Are we going to let the government, Fannie Mae, throw these people out in the street? No. We're going to stop them. We're going to stop them. We're going to win. We're behind you 100% moratorium now. The People Before Banks Coalition, Occupy Detroit, we're going to be there on January 2nd, and you ain't going nowhere. We promise you, we're going to win this battle.
How's everybody tonight? Wonderful. I want to thank Kyra Williams. I want to thank Vanessa Fluker. I want to thank the People Before Banks Coalition and Moratorium Now, and all the people that came out tonight for supporting this, and the lovely couple from Southgate. And I agree, we're going to keep fighting. This is not a one-time event. This is an ongoing event that the entire Occupy movement across the world is doing. This was a national day of action against evictions and foreclosures. There are events all across the country. There's a website called occupyourhomes.org where they have, you can enter in your zip code no matter where you live, and there will be an event somewhere near you to go to defend somebody's home from these criminal, fraudulent banks that kick people out of their homes in neighborhoods like this that have vacant homes and homeless people. It makes no sense. And the Occupy movement has joined the fight that has been going on for years against this, and we're so proud that we're a part of this, and I'm so happy that that you all came out on a cold day. We really appreciate it, and we really encourage you all to get involved in the Occupy movement. Everybody's invited. This is about all of us. This is about the 99%. And so we love to have you. We love you to come and bring your stories to us. Tell us what you need. Tell us what fights are going on out in the neighborhoods and out in Detroit and outside of Detroit, in the suburbs, wherever it is. You know, we're here to figure out collectively together as the 99%, what are we going to do about this problem? What are we going to do about this problem that 1% of the people own, 45% of the wealth, and they can decide who gets to stay in their house and who has to leave. This is not right, and we're not going to take it anymore. And for the past few months, the people in amazing numbers have showed up and said, we're not going to take this anymore, and we're going to get together, and we're not going to listen to leaders anymore. We're not going to, just accept the status quo anymore. And it's a beautiful thing, and we'd love you to get involved, and we understand that not everyone can come down to our general assemblies, and so we want you to get involved however you can on the internet, on Facebook, wherever you can. And we really, really appreciate you guys bringing your stories to us. And this is going to be an ongoing thing. This is not the first eviction defense we're going to do. We're going to do this ongoing with not just Ms. Williams, but with neighborhoods across Detroit and across Michigan. And it's just going to be it's going to be a great winter. It's going to be, a really beautiful winter of people coming together in support of each other. So thank you so much for coming out and being a part of this.
This is a surprise. But it works. When people get together, not just one person, but many people, and we tell the banks that we are not going to take this anymore. When we rally at the banks, when we protest, when we send letters, we embarrass them publicly. They don't realize that they just are thinking about a profit. They are not thinking about the person that lives in this home. As you know, a lot of cities now are facing the threat of an emergency manager. Now, can you imagine if every household had a family living in there? They could pay taxes. They could invest in the community, keep the community safe, and we wouldn't need an emergency manager. It is up to us to tell them, hell no, we are not going to take it anymore. You cannot evict everybody. Get on board and give us a decent rate so that we can stay in our homes and raise our families and stay in our cities.
Hell no, we won't go!
Hell no, we won't go! Hell no, we won't go! Hell no, we won't go! Hell no, we won't go!
Because it's time to actually put our bodies in the way of the people who are carrying out this unethical, immoral, and economically disastrous policy. So great to see everybody here, and I'm going to pass it along to Nancy.
I just want to say I was out at Southgate this morning, and it really brought tears to my eyes, the courage of the couple that's here now. It's so hard to get people to speak out, because for so long people have felt like, oh, it's my problem, it's a personal thing. I couldn't believe how much your situation is just like what's been happening in our neighborhood in East English Village. It's like way on the other side of the area, but it's the same thing. The houses are selling for $20,000 and you're being asked to pay like $200,000 in a mortgage. Everybody knows it's not worth that, and otherwise you get kicked out of your house. It is criminal. And when people like the courageous couple here and the I'm not going to name the woman in the houses are willing to speak up and make their voices heard, then I think it gives courage to everybody else. And I think all of us here can give courage to people and tell them that you are not alone. We are all in this together. Thank you.
What's going on here in this country? It's very interesting that 3.5 years ago, the banks were bailed out here in the United States and around the world. They took over $700 billion of our tax money, working people here in this country, to turn over to criminals who had in fact created an economic crisis, the worst economic crisis we've seen since the Great Depression. This is criminal activity. And not one person, not one CEO, not one executive, not one investor has been indicted, let alone prosecuted in this criminal fraud that's been going on here in this country now for several years. So we are here today to re-exert our right as working people, our right as oppressed people to determine our own destiny. And just as they're foreclosing on millions of homes throughout the length and breadth of the United States, they're also foreclosing on whole municipal areas in this country. We saw what happened in Flint last week. We've seen what has happened in Benton Harbor and in Pontiac, and right now they want to do the same thing to the city of Detroit. And this is totally a criminal action as well. And it is the banks, the same banks who are foreclosing on our homes. These are the same criminals who are behind the attempts to impose emergency management in all these cities across the state of Michigan. It's the same people. In fact, they're telling us that we owe hundreds of millions of dollars to these banks, when in fact, they actually owe us money for devastating our city, for gutting our city services, and we have to stand up against this as we're standing up against the foreclosures that are going on throughout the length and breadth of this country. That's right. So I just wanted to say, on behalf of the Moratorium Now Coalition to Stop Foreclosures, Evictions, and Utility Shutoffs, we are proud to stand here with our sister Kyra Williams. We are proud to stand with our family from Southgate and all the other families that are being foreclosed on in this country. They need to stand up. And if they stand up, more and more people will stand up as well. Yeah. Solidarity forever. Together we shall win. Thank you so much. Bail out the people.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters.
Absolutely.
I've been involved in a situation with a group called Paramount Land Holdings. The Police and Fire Pension Board in this city gave these rip-off artists $10 million to buy up foreclosed homes in the city of Detroit. They did. They bought up 2,600 foreclosed homes. They're the biggest rip-off artists in the country. They started selling these homes on land contracts to people in the city. No legal descriptions, hadn't paid the property taxes, hadn't paid the water bills, total rip-off. They got the houses so cheap, they got some of them for $1, for $10, that when they sold them to people, people paid a down payment of $1,000 or made a couple of monthly payments, $500 or $600. These rip-off artists made off like bandits. Well, now it's a big mess. The Fire and Pension Board has now sued Paramount and all the different names Paramount goes under, LMA and a lot of other names, Interstate Investment, because they weren't getting paid. The pension board wasn't getting paid on their investment. The court has appointed a receiver, so we've got a receiver in charge of 2,600 foreclosed homes in this city. Best estimate, about 600 of them have been purchased. That means 2,000 are owned and vacant. These homes need to be occupied. Yes. These homes need to be taken by the people in the city and in the area that need the homes. It's not just Detroit. I've got 8 clients in these messes. One's in Harper Woods, the rest are in Detroit. But it's throughout the region. And this is a total ripoff. Now, the only way I can see forward on this kind of situation is if we build a movement that says the people who have bought these homes, moved into these homes, fixed up these homes, and now are losing them to tax foreclosure, we're putting a halt to it. People who are in those homes and trying to make a home out of it, we're going to keep them in there, and we're going to fight to keep them in there, and we're going to defend their right to be there. That takes a movement to do that. And the 2,000 unoccupied homes need to be occupied. And that means that we need to build a movement of ordinary people who will take back this city and this region, street by street, neighborhood by neighborhood, block by block. We're taking over. And there's only one way to do it. The government won't do it. The bank sure as hell won't do it. We're going to have to do it. And a lot more people like us are going to have to do it. And the alternative to this madness, the alternative to the rule of the banks, the alternative to having a government that's run by the banks is for ordinary people to take control of themselves. And we need to take it house by house and neighborhood by neighborhood. We need to build it until we can overthrow the power of the banks and their government and build a society based on ordinary people leading decent lives and treating each other decently.
Right on. But I think we just need to look around. Look at everybody that we see here. Some people, had it not been for this crisis, we would have never been brought together. So we need to look at the unity that we have today. We need to continue educating our friends, educating our neighbors. We need to continue fighting and standing up for our rights. At the National Lawyers Guild, Michigan Legal Services, we stand up and fight through the courts, but this is where it's at. The fight is in the streets, and we need to continue to fight. We need to not be scared. We need to not back down. And neighbor by neighbor, house by house, relative by relative, we build this new movement. We build this new way of doing things. We educate our officials. We educate our politicians. We don't settle for the usual blah, 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 blah. But we have a movement, we have energy. Doesn't matter if it's cold, doesn't matter if we're tired. We just have to keep going until the goal of fairness and equity is achieved.
Right on.
I just saw also the Jobs with Justice.
Jobs with Justice represents over 30 organizations in the Detroit area. We are somewhat unique in that we bring together community organizations, religious organizations, and unions for the purpose of fighting for the rights of working people. We're delighted to put our efforts behind the mortgage struggles and have been very active with people before banks. Good to see so many friends and comrades here today. Let's continue the struggle.
Hey, listen, I was down at the 36th District Court today to pay my escrow. It looked like a black sale at Macy's. It's the most crowded court in the country. It's a leaf mulcher, a wood chipper, stripping us of dignity. We have to hold together. This is a political year coming up. Let's stay together and hold politicians accountable. This is the yeast. Let it rise. Let us rise together. Let us grow by that time. Fight. Show them political clout, show them political muscle, and hold politicians accountable and get changes in the city. This is our city. Let's get our city back. Thank you.